about like food kind of getting stuck, like it can't really go down. Um, I followed Cecilia Lane. She had her surgery way before me, like maybe 4 or 5 years before I had mine. So she's someone that I was following before surgery. I was shocked to find out that my experience was nothing like hers. She spoke about how she had to actually work food back up, because it was so tight and it wouldn't come down. She spoke about not even having to work out consistently and the weight just falling off. She was so happy. Her incisions were like pretty much invisible. She had like three incisions. Like my doctor gave me like five. Granted, he had to do a hiatal hernia repair, which, brings me to the point too. Everyone's different. Every situation is different. Every surgery should be different. So why did I go on to get the gastric bypass? You would think it's because I wasn't happy with the weight loss from the original surgery, partially. But what brought this all to be is I was in a car accident of May of last year. And with that accident, I was driving on a highway. Someone ran into the back of me, and I took the full force of that impact at my left shoulder and neck area. And I did not see them coming. And so my neck did like a whiplash action. And I was in a great deal of pain from that night. I typically sleep on my left shoulder because I have asthma, and that's better for respiratory and breathing. I tried to lay on my left shoulder and it just hurt so bad. I tried to lay on my right shoulder. I couldn't do that either because the pulling of now the shoulder going on the opposite end, that bothered me as well. I went to like an ortho doctor, and it was like a long, painful process. We were in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic, but at the time we were freshly in a pandemic. I didn't want to go to the doctor, had no choice but to go to the doctor because I was in a lot of pain. The doctor recommended like different type of pain medicine. One medicine is for people with epilepsy. One medicine was for nerve like spasms and like pain reduction. I went to the chiropractor. She did adjustments. I had x-ray done. I ended up having an MRI of the neck and the shoulder done. The MRI did show that I had a tear in my rotator cuff, but the pain that was the worst was that somewhere in the midst of this injury was a nerve that was being pressed on. And when that nerve was bothered, the pain was from my neck all the way down to my hand. And if I even laid back, like I couldn't even lay flat without that nerve just having so much pressure. And so pretty early on after the accident, I learned the only way I can sleep was on my stomach with my arm up. That was the only way to relieve some of that pressure. Well, through the process, like I said, it was very painful. I ended up going to a physical therapist, like I said, the chiropractor, massage therapist, all this time still in pain. But I did have stomach pain right after the accident. And so I didn't put two and two together that the pain was so great after the accident that when you have that much pain in your body, the pain like kind of spreads and goes all over. So it was like referred pain. So I called my weight loss clinic. I'm like, my stomach hurts. I don't know what's going on. And then they were going to see me. And so I didn't want to see them at that time. I ended up coming like, several weeks later because the next shoulder pain was so great that was priority. Finally, I went to the weight loss clinic, and I met the new surgeon that I have now. And he is amazing. And let me just tell you, it's such a difference when you have a connection with your surgeon. This surgeon really seemed to care about me as a person, as opposed to the surgeon that I had the first time. I really felt, in retrospect, when I look at this whole process, I really feel like that first surgeon just treated me like a number. This new surgeon, he went steps above the first surgeon. So he explained in detail the different surgeries. He said, okay, you have GERD. So what's happening now with you having GERD is that the acid is shooting up to your esophagus, which is dilating your esophagus. It puts you at risk for Barrett's esophagus and even esophageal cancer. Now, down below, your pyloric valve is, like I said, too much acid going on in that sleeve. Your pyloric valve is like, keeps everything open and shut, keeps the bowel below, keeps the acid where it needs to be. That's being affected a lot. You had pancreatitis. I was actually hospitalized Actually, the same day that I had that terrible 3-month visit, that same day I was hospitalized for pancreatitis and I was in the hospital for 3 days. They considered removing my gallbladder. Thank goodness they did not have to at that time. It seemed to resolve itself as far as the stone while I was in the hospital, but like my levels were kind of high. So anyway, so the new surgeon, he sent me for a endoscopy to view the inside of my stomach. They did a biopsy to make sure I don't have any cancerous issues going on now. I did a barium swallow per his order, and that's where it was diagnosed that I still have a hiatal hernia, even though the hiatal hernia should have been fixed in the first surgery, and I have really, really extreme spontaneous GERD. You can manage it with medicine, and I do. I have Nexium and the omeprazole acid reducer. I always keep that on hand, always. And so you can manage it, but ultimately you're putting your esophagus at risk by not correcting that issue. And so he highly recommended that I was, converted to a bypass. Um, as I stated before, for one, it's going to resolve the acid issue, which will reduce the possibility of me possibly getting cancer eventually. And also, it would give me another chance at reducing my weight. So he spoke about my weight, and he did not want to say anything bad about the previous surgeon. He kind of hinted because I asked him, I said, so my stomach is dilated at the top or the bottom. Is that something I did wrong? Is it the way my surgery was done? And like there was like a little twinkle in his eye, and it was almost like he was telling me, girl, I got you. We didn't do you right the first time, but I'm gonna do you right now, because he practices. He's in the same practice with my first surgeon, so he really escalated things really quickly. I saw him the end of September. October, I did everything I had to do. It was a little bit different this time around because I had the medical complications. So I saw my surgeon, I saw a bariatric medical doctor, I saw a psychiatric doctor who gave me gold stars. I didn't have to go 3 months this time, just a virtual conversation. I had the barium swallow, I had the endoscopy, so they know what they're dealing with inside me. My bariatric surgeon, he even stated that, he may have to do that hernia repair when he goes in, whereas my first surgeon told me nothing about the hernia. They did endoscopy back then too. I asked specifically, do I have a hernia? And was told several times by him and his nurse, oh, no, you have a hernia, but we're not going to fix it. When I woke up from that first surgery, that's the first thing. I felt my chest in pain, and that surgeon came in and he said, oh, you had a huge hernia I had to fix. I was so mad that he didn't prepare for it, because in my mind, I'm asleep. I'm laid down on this table. I want you to have everything that you might possibly need for me right there. Don't tell me you're not going to fix my hernia. And then when you open me up, oh, she does have a hernia I need to fix. Nurse such and such, can you run and go get, the mesh and da-da-da-da for hernia repair? How much longer did I have to lay on the table because you were not prepared? Anyway, so fast forward, I got everything I needed to do as far as my requirements completed by like the first week of October. Because the holidays came through, I didn't hear anything in November. I kept in touch with the doctor's office. They did let me know that they submitted my information for approval. I did receive an approval letter from my insurance company in December saying that I have been approved for the gastric bypass. My surgeon did let me know, though, that he was going to do a gastric bypass with a lengthened biliopancreatic limb. And that was on January 4th. And here I am today, past the 3-week mark, going into my 4th week mark. And I can tell you the difference with this surgery. Now I know what people are talking about as far as restriction. Just earlier today, I had my first freak out. I have made egg bites. If you go watch my last video or the one before that, I made egg bites. And I use a food processor, so everything that I eat is really grounded up, really minced up, really small. Well, I took my egg bite, I put it back in the food processor because I noticed it was dense yesterday when I tried to eat it, just with small bites, still too dense. So this time I used the food processor again, put it back in there again, put it in with some low carbs pineapple salsa, And I just sprinkled a little bit of cheese on it, put it in my little 4-ounce cup, only about 2 ounces of it. By the fourth bite, I had to stop, and I just felt something in my throat. And I started walking, pacing, like I even went to the bathroom, like I was starting to like sweat a bit or something. I even went to the bathroom to see if I could like throw it up. It didn't come out, but it took like a minute or two for it to finally like slowly move down. Never had an experience like that with the sleeve. I can go back to my previous videos and I can tell you I'm happy. I'm happy with the 75 pounds I lost with the sleeve, but that took me like a year and 2 months to lose all the weight that I lost with it. And like that was 75 pounds total, like 55 pounds, I believe, or like 56, maybe 58 pounds if you count what I lost from surgery. 58 pounds I lost in like a year and 2 months. I still had cravings after I had the VSG. From day 4, I had cravings. I don't have cravings with the bypass. What I have now is like true hunger. Like I can feel my body needing some nutrients. Like, oh girl, you need to eat. You need to put something in your body. I love this Clear Premier Protein, 20 grams of protein in it. I mean, sometimes that's all I need, and it gives me that satiety. You know, I have my vitamin water, zero calories. You know, I sip on my water all day, every day. 36 ounces, Brita, getting it in. This is a refill. Like I already like drunk half of it. I have to put more ice in, and so I refill it. I mentioned that I was going to show y'all my iron soft chews. I do have iron deficiency. So this is the cherry flavor. And I put both my calcium and my iron in here, just so I can have it together. But I showed you my calcium in like my last video. So this is my iron. One chew has 15 calories, 4 grams of carbohydrates, and 45 milligrams of iron, and 60 milligrams of vitamin C, 15 milligrams of sodium. And I showed you my calcium. This is 500 milligrams of calcium. So, yay. But, oh, Michelle, I hope I answered your question in great detail. There's definitely lots of reasons why someone would have the conversion from the sleeve to the bypass. There's actually a group on Facebook that I found, and I used that also for my research and to prepare me from surgery. They're called something like bariatric gastric bypass revision, something like that. And there's lots of different reasons. You have to meet the criteria. Your BMI has to be at least 35, or if it's lower, you have to have some kind of comorbidity. I have high blood pressure, and so that even has gotten better. It was 118 over like 80 when I checked yesterday. So I'm doing well. This is an extra long video, like longer than I typically do. I try to keep it at 15 minutes because of the YouTube. Like it's really hard to upload a long video. So hopefully I get this uploaded. If I can't upload them all at once, maybe I can cut the video in half and like have a part 1, part 2. But if you have any more questions, or if anyone has any questions on my experience with both the sleeve and the bypass, feel free to ask questions. It's so much more that I can get into when it comes to the sleeve versus bypass. But essentially everyone's experience is so much different. There are people that have had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy and have lost all their excess weight. I mean, the vertical sleeve gastrectomy done properly, you will be really happy with your results. With me, I was happy, but I knew that I was giving the short end of the stick. I knew I was not giving the best. Even my incisions, as I mentioned before, my incisions are not that fantastic. My incisions, from before surgery versus now. My surgeon now had really light incisions versus the first surgeon. The way he did my incisions, they ended up as keloids, you know. So I can give you a quick body shot before I go.